The technique that I'm going to share with you today is one that really leveled up my game when I learned it. I remember I had just gotten to the point where I was flashing V3s, working on V4s, and I decided to invest in a V5 climbing class at my local gym. We learned tons of techniques, some that I already were quite familiar with, but this one really stood out to me, and actually it changed the way that I move my body while I'm climbing. If you're trying to climb a V4 or above, then you should certainly be using this technique that I'm going to share with you. And that technique is called drop knees. I'm going to walk you through first how to set up a drop knee, how to use them, when to use the drop knees. But before we get into that, let's talk about two skills that you need to have down pretty well before you can get into drop knees. First skill is pivoting. To be able to do a drop knee, you need to be really comfortable with pivoting your feet from the inside to the outside of your toes. Skill number two is you need to be able to rely and put weight on the outside of your foot. So if you are not comfortable with putting weight on your pinky toes, this is going to be a pretty challenging technique, so keep that in mind. Maybe practice pivoting and practice putting weight on those little toes before you get into drop knees. There is a three-part process to the drop knee. The first is your starting position. You're going to place your feet as on an even playing field as possible, and if you have the opportunity to get holds that are, just outside of your shoulder width, then that's probably going to be the easiest. And then you are going to have your hand that you're going to keep on the climb as close to the middle of your feet as possible. And unfortunately, it's quite likely that you won't be this lucky, and it's likely that you'll have a foot way over to the side or it will be unlevel. But I'm pretty sure for this route, the route setter was thinking of drop knees, so that's why it seems so easy and simple in this direction. Now, once you have your feet in place and your hands in place, it is time for step two. Step two is pivoting your feet. Now, you're going to pivot in the direction of whatever hand you want to move. So if you want to move your right hand next, then you're going to pivot your body so that your right hip is against the wall. In this situation, your left hand is holding your upper body in place and your feet are holding you in a tight, twisted formation. This is going to alleviate a lot of pressure off of that right hand so you can reach up for the next hold. Step three is probably the most important part of this movement, and that is actually dropping your knee down. While you're pivoting, in order to maintain the position and keep your hip as close to the wall as possible, you're actually going to have to pivot your foot all the way around so that your knee is pointing down and your heel is pointing up. This is essential because your knee isn't meant to do anything but go up and down. Your hip, on the other hand, has a lot of movement and can do a lot of twisting quite safely. So by putting your knee down, you're enabling your hip to maintain the twist instead of your knee. At risk of repeating myself, this is a crucial part of a drop knee. If you do not twist your hips properly, if you do not pivot your foot properly, you can injure your knee. So be very careful with this part of the movement. Once you start understanding this movement more, it will become like second nature. I apologize if I kind of stressed you out right there, but it is really important. Luckily, the more you do it, the more clear and easy it is to know exactly what it feels like when your knee doesn't have the pressure and your hip does instead. Also, no climb of the week. This week, I hurt my back, so I wasn't able to go climbing. And just as a little public safety announcement for all of you, if you hurt your lower back or you hurt your hips or something like that, that doesn't mean go climbing. Am I telling you guys this or am I telling myself this? Be careful, allow yourself to rest, and do movements that you can do. Like I could do bicep curl. I could do anything that doesn't include my back, which if you're wondering, pull-ups most absolutely uses your back. Push-ups excruciatingly use your back. Any ab workout whatsoever uses my back. In fact, after I'm done filming this, I'm probably going to lay down. Drop knees is just one of the techniques that I use to unlock climbing V5s. If you're wondering what other skills you should know and what things you can do for training, check out this video next. You just sit right there. Yeah, just sit right there. Do you think I should continue? Should I continue talking about drop knees while I have her on my lap? Yeah, you wouldn't even notice. You'd think I was talking to you, huh?